All right, in this mini lecture, we're going to be looking at the EFE and competitive profile matrices. So the EFE matrix takes a look at the external factors impacting a business. And we want to summarize and evaluate these factors, including social, cultural, demographic, economic, environmental, political, government, legal, technological, and competitive. So again, those external factors that could impact an organization. And so the first step is to identify the 20 key external factors. You don't have to do this many, but you can do that many if you want. And then you want to weight them from 0 to 1, 0 being um, it, the least important, 1 being the most important. And all of the weights of your factors need to equal 1. Then you want to rate the effectiveness of your current strategies from 1 to 4. 1 being the worst, 4 being the best. Multiply those ratings and sum them. So let's look at an example. So this is an EFE matrix for a local 10 theater cinema complex. So they identified 7 key opportunities. So new neighborhoods developing, universities expanding, major competitor closed, all right? So they listed them all, they weighted them all, and then they rated their strategies in addressing these factors. They also listed their key external threats. They weighted them from 0 to 1 and then rated how effective their strategy is at addressing this. So what I want you to notice is that all of the weights in both the opportunities and threats must equal 1. Okay? The lower the weight, the less important that variable is. And then you want to rate how you currently are addressing that. So for example, here they don't have a very good strategy for 2 new neighborhoods developing within 3 miles, but they have a good strategy to address that the university is expanding. So they take the weight times the rating and you get your weighted score, and then you add all of these up to get a number. Now in the case of the EFE, you the middle line, the average is 2.58. And so what we can conclude here is that this 10 theater cinema complex is doing an average job at addressing the opportunities and threats that are facing them. And so what we can see here is they really need to have a better strategy for addressing the 2 new neighborhoods that are developing. They can have a better strategy for growing demand. Oops. They really need to do something about this demand for online movies. How can they neutralize this threat that's bringing their score down? That's kind of the big threat. And maybe even that taxes are increasing. Is there anything they could do to neutralize that? So anything lower than a 2.5 means they're doing below average in addressing the opportunities and threats, and anything above 2.5 means they're doing above average. And so it can just give you a baseline of how well you are addressing your opportunities and threats. Let's also look at the competitive profile matrix. So the competitive profile matrix is going to allow you to take a look at where you stand in terms of your competitors. So you first identify your major competitors and list their strengths and weaknesses in relation to a sample firm or maybe even your firm's strategic position. And then you look at the critical success factors and you weight and rate them. All right, so here are 3 companies. And so you would say advertising, they identify their critical success factors. They weight them all. Again, all those weightings have to equal 1. And then they rate them. 1 is that it's a weakness, major weakness, 2 minor weakness, 3 minor strength, 4 major strength. All right. And so what we can see is we look at our 3 competitors, and you can see that that company 3 is the weakest, followed closely by company 2. So company 1 is actually doing the best. And so we can go in here and we can look and say that, okay, where are they really struggling? Well, price competitiveness for company 3 is huge. So they might want to evaluate their pricing. Same with their management, all right? Company 1 is doing well, but they have a low market share. So they would want to go and look at that aspect. And so it just allows you to see where each company is doing well and not so well and see how each company compares to each other. And so that's a quick overview of the EFE and the CPM. If you have questions, let me know. Thanks.